So this is just a quick re-upload. I just want to give a shout out to Tippy for letting me know that hey, you got some issues directly in the video. You may want to re-upload the video, so that's what we're doing. I'm also going to have that directly in the title, and also shout out to the other people who left comments on the video as well.
Because in Nigeria, I didn't think of myself as black because nobody thinks of themselves as black in Nigeria. We have many problems, but race is not one of them because I guess most people in Nigeria are black. In many West African countries, we don't have race as an identifying part of us. So when I went to the US, all I had thought of myself was a Catholic and Igbo. And Nigerian, of course. But then in the US, people would just say things to me about being black, and I would think, I don't even know what that means. But most of all, it was that I started to learn that black wasn't a value-free idea. That to be called black was that people made assumptions about you. There was a professor who was surprised that I wrote the best essay in class. And I realized that he was surprised because he didn't expect a black person to write the best essay. And so for me, it was a learning process. Of course, now I very much identify as black.
This is a message for the 49 white Afrikaners that fled to the United States. I'm an Afrikaans-speaking white South African, and I have absolutely zero desire to go over to America. Number one, because there's no genocide happening in South Africa, is there, Lua? I mean, I'm white, and I live a pretty good lifestyle. Also, I don't think that moving over to America is going to give me the lifestyle that I've got here. But anyway, to you 49ers, well done to you guys for taking the leap. But for everyone else that's curious about the truth, there is no mass farm murders in South Africa. I'm eating pretty well. I'm getting my food from the shops. I haven't heard of any farmers being brutally attacked or murdered, especially not racially motivated attacks. So there you go. I don't know what Donald Trump is up to, what he's saying, but this guy is just talking absolute nonsense. So let me know in the comments what you think about this whole situation.
No, because the days of soothing and assuaging these toddlers is done. We're done. We're not doing this anymore. If you guys want to sit here and be terrified of your fellow South Africans, that's your own business. But I think it's time to stop making it everyone else's problem. You were invited to off to America, and you're still here, crying and complaining, using actual victims to further your false narrative. Because we're not saying we don't have an issue with violent crime in South Africa. We are saying it is not a genocide against white people. And further to that point, black women are murdered and tortured at much higher rates than anyone in this country. And here you are, crying about a genocide against whites. If anything, if any argument is to be made, it is a genocide against black women. Because they die much more violently and at far higher rates than you. Stop this. We are not saying we don't have an issue with violent crime, but the solutions get diluted when we're constantly having to explain what everyone else already knows to be factually true to you people who are crying like babies, even though you were given the ticket out. Why are you still here?
This is not true. It's a lie. There is no genocide of white South Africans. And let me make this clear for the benefit of those of you who are not South Africans. I'm a white South African, but I'm not an Afrikaner. I'm not a Boer, as people say. But even the Afrikaner people, the vast majority of Afrikaners don't want to leave this country. All Afrikaners and white people have a very good life in South Africa. We are doing fine. Thank you very much. We do not need to leave, and we do not need refugee status from Trump. So, why has Trump decided to grant refugee status to a group of Afrikaners? Well, it's he likes keeping in the media, but I think that it really has more to do with his friend Elon Musk, who we remember is a former South African. He has not been granted a license to operate his Starlink internet here in South Africa. And he has probably done this whole thing to provoke the bear, to create some kind of acrimonious situation and force the South African government to pay more attention to him. But let me just reiterate this. The group of South Africans who claim to be refugees from a white genocide, it's quite frankly an embarrassment.
Who claim discrimination in their home country are heading to the United States, right, where your administration is going to welcome them as refugees. Now, this comes as you've halted virtually all refugee admissions for people fleeing famine and war from countries like Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why are you creating an expedited path into the country for Afrikaners but not others?
Because they're being and we don't want to see people be. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And, we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something. But we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of. But it's a that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. But it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being. They happen to be white. But whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being brutally, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they'd talk about it. That would be the only story they'd talk about. And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible. I have.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to know, there were many, from the BBC, there are many people who fit the criteria of seeking help, who are fleeing persecution. Afghans, for example, they live in a country run by the Taliban, but they're being denied refugee status. So I'm wondering, why has such an exception been made for the Afrikaans, especially when the South African government says they're not in danger? And are you going to open up the refugee settlement program for others?
Thank you for that question. I think you may recall that on the president's first day in office, on January 20th of this year, he issued an executive order that paused U.S. refugee programs that had been going at record levels under the prior administration and had brought in people that we were not sure had been carefully vetted for national security issues, and put a pause on the refugee admission program in general. That pause, of course, was subject from the very beginning to exceptions where it was determined that this would be in the interest of the United States. Some of the criteria are making sure that refugees did not pose any challenge to our national security and that they could be assimilated easily into our country. So the president on February 7th issued an executive order about the egregious conditions in South Africa, and all of these folks who have just come in today have been carefully vetted pursuant to our refugee standards, and whether or not the broader refugee programs for other people around the world will be lifted is still an ongoing consideration. But again, the president has recognized the dire situation of this particular group of people, and again, they went through the process.
So you guys are able to hear that, right? So we have three individuals here stating that the circumstances or the stories that we have been hearing by way of white Afrikaners is not all the way true, or pretty much not true at all. They're stating that, the way that you want to, talk about people no longer existing and how this is happening, that is happening. I don't see it. One guy, he was like, I don't see it. He was like, I live in South Africa and that's not anything that I specifically see or anything of that nature, right? So it's like, what are you specifically talking about? You had a woman that was specifically stating the exact same thing, and then also an older gentleman as well. And the funniest thing is, when you happen to listen to the United States and how it is that they want to state that, oh yeah, we have to, go directly over here. We need to rescue these people. We need to do this because, it's a humanitarian crisis, or whatever it is that they want to dress up as. And they want to, pull out the red carpet for these people to come directly to the United States. They want to fast track their citizenship and all of these great things, right? But yet, at the end of the day, the United States government is further solidifying and showing the white Americans directly out here how it is that they will benefit, they will care, they will shelter, they will provide, they will validate, they will do any and everything possible for other groups of people except for you, your family, and your kids. That's some crazy work. And I want people to know and understand that these Africans, these South Africans, right? I want y'all to understand that they are going to get government assistance. They're going to get government help. You have a lot of Americans at this moment in time not able to get the things that they specifically need from the government. It's like pulling teeth. They gotta beg, they gotta grovel, they gotta do everything possible just to get 1% of something. These people are about to get housing. More than likely going to get some type of land or whatever else it is that they just so happen to need, while your family has to worry about paycheck to paycheck, while your family can barely afford the groceries while going to the market and trying to figure out what you're going to have for dinner just this day. Not the full week, but just this day. And they're probably going to get a lot of other amenities as well that will be allotted to them by way of the United States government, by way of your very own tax dollars. And again, the craziest part is that you have so much racism inside of the United States that the main majority in the United States can't even see or dare not even witness in 4K how it is that they are being played in front of their face. You already had you had two individuals. You had one of which was a foreigner, another one which was Elon Musk, who was an African American, who literally told these people that, hey, you can't do the job, so we have to bring in immigrants in order to fulfill the roles that we need, in order to fill in these positions, in order to get this job done, because you are not smart enough to do it. And then we went from that to deporting everybody and stopping people from immigrating in, to now we're going to cut off the 99.9% and we're going to let in this 1% of people here. And we're going to justify it because there's a crisis going on that we just need to be a part of. We have to set a precedence. We have to set an example. And as I stated before, why is it that the United States responded, but yet you didn't see, let's say, Australia, any places in Europe or the UK? You didn't see any of these other great countries, nations, whatever you want to call it. You didn't see any of these other ones decide to just, hurry up and respond and try to ship them and pull them directly into their. They didn't do any of it. They stayed back. They stayed silent. I wonder why that is. Out of all of the European nations directly out there, why is it that none of them jumped up in order to quote unquote bring in, or better yet, save these people? Nobody's asking that question. Because wouldn't it be quicker for them to go from South Africa to Europe versus going from South Africa to the United States? Wouldn't it technically be quicker? Wouldn't it be more convenient? Right? Wouldn't you have some similarities in culture and beliefs and different things of that nature? Like I said, the United States from South Africa to the United States, as two different worlds realistically. Especially given the history. Right? Supposedly. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking. Maybe I'm just rambling. I don't know. I'm just a, conspiracy theorist. I don't know anything that, I'm talking about. But like I said before, people better pay very close attention to the United States government and the things that they themselves are specifically doing at this moment in time. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I stated in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.